Jr.'s Mock Draft 1.0 hit ESPN Plus today. People are already buzzing. Let's get Mel in here for just a little. We start with the top 3 picks. Mel, how'd you play it out?
You know, that's a tough one at the top. When you think about Chicago Bears, do they trade out? Do they just make a pick? And they're going to have offers possibly for the quarterback that somebody wants. But Jalen Carter, if you're stuck at 1, you take the defensive tackle for Georgia. He had the injuries he had to battle back from in September. He comes back in October and he's wreaking havoc. Keep in mind, in 2021, as an underclassman, he's the best defensive player on that talent-laden defense. You think about where he is right now, he's either number 1 or number 2, has to be on most boards. And then you think about the number 2 pick, and that's where you could impact here. Another situation where you say, okay, does Houston stay at 2 and take a quarterback, or try to move up to 1 to get the quarterback they deem the best? C.J. Stroud, to me, the consistency last year and this year, the accuracy throwing the football to all levels, and then that Georgia game, which showed how he can move around and make good decisions and good throws on the move. Think about Will Anderson Jr. Why is he still on the board? When we thought he'd be the number 1 pick guaranteed back in August, he wasn't as dominant this year as he was in 2021. You think about a guy who's not as explosive, doesn't have the bend of a Von Miller or a Myles Garrett, but he's a heck of a player. He'll get you, I think, 8 to 10, maybe as many as 10 to 12 sacks a year. I don't think he'll be the 18 to 20 sack a year guy, but he's certainly more than good enough. He'll play the run. He'll give you everything he has week in and week out.
I love it. Here is a full look at Mel Kiper Jr.'s Mock Draft 1.0, and ESPN senior analyst has 4 quarterbacks coming off the board in the top 9 picks. You see that there. That's never happened in the common draft era. Only once have 4 QBs been selected in the top 10. So after Stroud to Houston, you see it's Bryce Young to the Colts, Will Levis to the Seahawks, and Anthony Richardson to the Panthers. It is time for our first round of Ask Mel in 2023.
We're taking it easy on him.
We're so excited about this. Mel, let's kick it off. Dan, you get to go first.
Ding,
Everyone
ding.
gets a question.
Ding,
Dan
ding.
first.
Fight time.
Mel, what did the Georgia game do for C.J. Stroud's stock?
Dano, it did a lot, because this was the first time we saw him deal with adversity. It wasn't just pitch and catch against Georgia, because they were a 6.5-point underdog. Same there, on the move, making an accurate throw down the field. That's what you saw that he's capable of, that you didn't see during his career at Ohio State on a game-to-game basis. We know about his accuracy. We know about the ability to do the job to all levels, throwing the football. Here, though, against adversity, against the rush, against guys in his face, he was making accurate strikes. To me, that put him in the mix to be the QB1 for a lot of people.
Yeah, I love that. I would say that in structure, he's the best passing quarterback in this draft in my eyes when it comes to just playing from the pocket as a passer. But to your point, the creativity in that Georgia game has to catch the attention of NFL scouts. I love that.
Yeah, what we saw him do that day, especially against that defense, my goodness. All right, Key, your turn.
Mel, when I look at your ranking for quarterbacks, you have Will Levis at number 1 at the quarterback, but not in the mock draft. And when I looked at him throughout last year and this year, I walk away from it saying, okay, that's Blake Bortles to me. You feel different about it. Why?
Because I saw him in 2021 play so well. 10-3 record he led them to. He had help from his O-line. Wan'Dale Robinson was there, and he was making throws to any point on the field, snapping it off from his ear, running with the football, running for over 100 yards against that LSU defense, was outstanding against that Georgia defense, completed a high percentage of his passes against that talent-laden Bulldog squad. The way he fought back from injury and played through injuries, significant injuries this year, when a lot of guys would have been watching from the sidelines, he was out there competing. Obviously, the turnovers he needs to cut down on, but I think the skill set is there, the attitude is there, the want to is there for Will Levis to be a franchise quarterback.
Does the Will Levis evaluation remind you a little bit of the Josh Allen evaluation coming out of Wyoming?
I hate comps, Dano. I hate comps.
The
but
evaluation.
yeah, and that's going to set the bar really high to say Josh Allen. You know how I felt about him coming out. I'm not to that level, but I'm close enough to put him at QB1. And thanks for not bringing up Jimmy Clausen, Dano.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, no, we try to keep it positive here. Let's continue on with the quarterbacks, because I think Florida quarterback Anthony Richardson may end up being one of the most interesting prospects in this draft. Mel, you've been very candid about the fact that you think he shouldn't play right away. You have him going to the Panthers, but what is the outlook on Richardson?
skill set, the talent's there. That Utah game, he looked like the #1 pick overall. I mean, he's doing everything. He ran for 3 touchdowns, ran for over 100 yards. They were an underdog in the game. He led them single-handedly to a victory. 70% completion percentage in that game. No interceptions. Next week against Kentucky, he's at 40%, couple interceptions, and 6 carries for 4 yards. They frustrated him. They contained him. They shut him down. Some games he's missing layups, easy throws. So the accuracy's not there, but the talent is in abundance. He's big. He's got a rocket arm. He can run like anybody. He wants to be one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in terms of running. Once his passing improves, he's the ultimate developmental quarterback. I think he goes still in the top 10 to 15. I have him to Carolina right now.
I call it that Utah game. I think this young man's an absolute superstar in the right place making-wise. Also, I don't think he's played real football at the college level, Mel. Like, that's not a knock on any of the coaching, but like that's the college system that he ran at Florida in those 2 years. Like, it was a little bit of, hey, go run around and make a play type of stuff more than really learning defenses and fronts and scheme. He gets to sit for 2 years. He is an absolute rock star talent-wise.
Florida was without a lot of weapons, too. I mean, imagine putting him in some sort of offense with even just a couple more players to help him out. Marcus, your turn. You want to ask something not about a quarterback?
Well, you would ask about a Florida player.
He's the most interesting
and y'all,
player.
we would have a damn segment for 10 minutes about quarterback. Mel gonna spend the next 5,000 hours
Marcus,
talking about
ask
quarterbacks
about somebody
in the
who has
draft.
to do with the run game.
Let me ask you this, Mel. Jalen Carter, I like the player. How did he supersede Will Anderson? Mel, last year and coming into this year, it was no question that Will Anderson would be that guy on the defensive side with production and his ability to come off the edge. When did this transition take place of Jalen jumping him?
I think it was just the fact that Will Anderson Jr. didn't have the dominant year, Marcus, that he did in 2021, and you didn't see the bend. Then you really put him under the microscope, and you don't see when you're saying Myles Garrett, Von Miller, Nick Bosa. You didn't see that. Joey Bosa. You didn't see that. You saw a guy who's going to be solid, maybe not spectacular. Maybe he still can be, because nobody wants it more than Will Anderson Jr. So you root for the kid. He's a great kid. Is 8 to 10, 12 sacks a year going to get it done? Yeah, it will. Will he be elite? Maybe not. I think Kalijah Cansey is a defensive tackle from Pitt. Keep an eye on. And Lucas Van Ness, the defensive end from Iowa, to keep an eye on. So there's other guys other than Anderson Jr. and Carter at those 2 positions. Like I said, Kalijah Cansey at Pitt is a guy that I think is going to rocket up the board when people look at that tape.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.